Hey guys, and welcome back to my 3-year plus creative world. That's right. I this of all things on my channel, this is the thing I choose to keep making videos on, even though most of you actually don't care for this as much as I do. This is, I guess, more of a me thing than anything else. Because in case you didn't know, this right here, I had to break a hole in my window, by the way. I already got glass panes to fix it. If you did not know, this was a Minecraft world that I've been working on for, as the name would suggest, about 3 years, give or take. I've added stuff. Obviously, I've added a whole bunch of stuff. I've improved older buildings. I've added completely new buildings in place of where things used to be. And now I'm here to show you absolutely everything I've done since that tour back in December that I did, which for some reason was very low quality. So I hope that this can kind of, this little fly around here can actually show you the world in kind of a higher quality than the last time you saw it. And also, in case you love this series and don't want it to go away till December again, that's perfect, because if you didn't watch that video back in December, basically I mentioned doing a top 10 basically buildings, rides, whatever you want to call it, inside of my creative world. And yeah, I've written that video out, and I'm about to film it as soon as I finish this one. So maybe a month from now, or maybe a few weeks, expect to see another video inside of this world. But this, as the title would imply, is me showing off every change, new addition, and new building I have added to my world since last December. And going back to that page on my little page of notes here, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thing, 6 thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 things to show you, ironically enough. One of which was unfinished from last time. 1, 2, 3 of them, 4 of them are completely new buildings. And then the rest are just improvements to older buildings, which I think is a great place to start, as right next to my house, there's already 2 new additions here. In case you haven't seen any of the previous videos I've done, Capture the Wool right here is the first ever thing that I ever built inside of my world, aside from, obviously my house here. And so it always had a special place, both in the world and in my heart, because obviously, my house is supposed to be the center of the world. Everything here is supposed to center my house. So the buildings directly next to my house obviously are very important to me. Capture the Wool is no exception. So I decided, you know what? I do have Capture the Wool 2 over here. I'll show you quickly. For those of you who haven't seen it, this is Capture the Wool 2. The sequel to the original that was basically better in every way for gameplay-wise. But, I always had a soft spot for the original. In the second one, there's like 4 pieces of wool you have to go and find. But in this one, it was always just one. You versus another player. One player on the red side, one player on the blue side. You each get wooden swords, and you each got to try and take the wool. And that's it. Once you get that wool over here, you win. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated. It's not overly done. It's just a simple little minigame. So I decided that it was about time I gave this building a facelift. And if you remember a while ago in my old June 2020 one video where I showed you all of the old, where I showed you Trident Toss over here redone in its new style, for every improvement I've made so far in this series, I will also show you the old version as a point of comparison, because I feel like that is a great place to start. So without further ado, this is what it looks like now. And let's go back to future me for the past version of my world right now. Alright, thank you, past me, for this opportunity to show you the old version of my world. So before we get into all the nitpicky changes about Capture the Wool, this is basically what it used to look like. You see we got just this basic wood fence exterior. You got a sign over here that says Capture the Wool with kind of a failed entranceway, because nobody enters this way. If you ever enter Capture the Wool, you just fly over top, enter, and then start killing each other. As well as the fact that kind of my main problem with it was one of 2 things. One was that it's just a basic open field. Like, I felt like they really needed some paths or something changed here, which is exactly what I did in the remake, as you're going to see very shortly. And then this failed class system thing, it just never finished it. So while I like the idea, and I did reuse that idea for Capture the World 2, it didn't really work out for this in particular, which makes me not really care for it as much. There's also a beacon back there, which, if you look in my... Okay, Rain, why you gotta do that to me? Come on. Stop it. Go away. If you look back here, that beacon is now gone, and there's a giant tree in its place, which future me, or I guess past me, kind of weird how this works. It's going to talk about that as if you've never seen it before, but shh, don't tell them I've already told you. And basically, aside from that, the castle's pretty much the same. I think there's like a window up there now. Yeah, the flag's still the same. Basically, I just changed the type of wood, the amount of fence gates, because now it's every other block. I changed, there's paths now, there's flowers now, there's a giant rule board over here, and there's a giant tunnel going through here into here. I guess the classes are, ironically enough, in the same place that they were before. And then this has just gone all together. This was my old ideas board. As you can see, you can't really see it that well. All of these ideas have been done before. King Slime Ride, Little Dipper, Dawn's House, Nether House, Beach, Elytra Course, Love Tunnel, Giant Treasure Chest, Village, and Parkour Castle have all been done before. And over here, there's just a hi on the back. I thought it was a smiley face, so I guess I would have been wrong there. But yeah, that is Capture the Wool in its old state. Let's see it in its new state. Pretty cool, right? It's not the most exciting thing in the world, I'll give you that, but it is a change nonetheless. And yeah, let's get into every little detail change. Obviously, in the old version, it was just all oak fences. Now it's birch and dark oak, respectively, per each side of the fence. And then whatever side it is not has the corresponding wood underneath. This is now the official entrance. Instead of just having a little hole here, you can see we got a nice little archway for Capture the Wool. But instead of that being the only entranceway, over here, if we walk normally, we will see this whole building right here, which was obviously not here before. There was a little red sign with a whole bunch of ideas on it that I obviously built. That was demolished because it was kind of useless, especially at this stage in the world. I still miss you, Fluffy. If you didn't know, Fluffy was the first dog that died in this world. Not the last one, but the first one. And then you walk through here, and this is the little entrance hall with both the birch and the dark oak logs respectively. You walk through here, there's some nice bookcases. There's some cauldrons with dye in it. And then over here is your little layout for what you need. And for those of you who remember the last version of the world I just showed you, there was a little failed class system over here that basically didn't work. I never finished it. So instead, now it's actually completely finished. This is for the blue team. You got your armor now completely dyed in your color, a wooden sword, a bow, 10 arrows, and 10 cookies. It is the same for the red team, just with red armor. You're going to go to your side that has now been completely revamped. As you can see, there's now a cobbled deep slate, I'm pretty sure it's called, path going all the way here. It is exactly the same on this side, just reversed. So it goes like this, and it's not optional. Obviously, you can still run over the grass if you really wanted to, but it does add a little charm to just a basic grass field. These campfires were already here, but now they have a little cobblestone and mossy cobblestone around it. Obviously, these paths are aligned with roses and cornflowers, I think they're called respectively. And then there's also some new flags up around the place on each side, each of which have different orientations. And then obviously stuff like the wool and the castles are almost the same. You can see now there's a little window in here on both castles. But I believe you walk inside, this is the exact same interior and upstairs as before. And the same flag and all. So overall, not the biggest facelift I've ever given any building in my world, but you know what? When you consider it to what it used to be, it's a pretty big improvement. And also, there's a little sign down here. This is just the rules. You can go ahead and read that if you want. Basically, for every minigame that I build in the future, / improve in the future, wink wink, nudge nudge, there's more of these. I'm going to add a sign like this with rules, so that way when I eventually finish my world, put it up for download for hopefully free once I figure that out. You guys will know how to play this with your friends if you ever wanted to. Also, Something I completely didn't even write down, but notice is different, is if you head back here, this little pond by Don's house, or I guess Mr. Fitzgerald's house now, because rest in peace, Don. There's a little fishing dock. So this little pond here was always here before, but I added some fish, some lanterns, and of course, some fishing rods. So if you really wanted to, you can, in fact, now go fishing in here. And I caught one! Look at that! So yeah, it's basically just I added some wood planks to the path, wood slabs, I believe, to give it the authentic dock feel, and then just added some fish into this little body of water here. And obviously, if you did not see the other December update, this is completely redone from the old Parklore Castle, but I've already showed it, and I don't want this video to go on too terribly long, especially because I tend to ramble a lot in this type of video. And the other point of comparison I have to show you, before I even step inside of this building, I'm going to give you a little up flight, because yeah, there is now this giant parrot up above. I believe it's Blueberry. The parrot that used to be in my room is now kind of the mascot of the party house. But yeah, I'm going to give you guys the past version of me to show you the past version of my world, to show you the old party house before we even step inside it all. Alright, once again, here we are, back in the future, slash past, slash, this is really freaking confusing. But this is what the party house used to look like. Obviously there's no parrot, which is already kind of a buzzkill. I do miss my giant parrot friend. And down here, you see we got the Fun Time Party House. See, I don't even remember what it was named. I guess you could say when I rebuilt it, I also rebranded it. So, take that. And this is kind of, boring. The walls, I definitely needed to build out more in a different pattern, because this is, A, kind of hurts my eyes a little bit, and B, boring as hell. As well as this doesn't even work. I can destroy this because I've never come back to this world. There's a little minecart going around under here that's supposed to be pushing around constantly and letting up all the little things, but as you can see, it really doesn't work that well. The one on the ceiling does work pretty well, but unfortunately, that's actually something I had to remove in the newer version of this, which is, I guess, kind of upsetting and not really upsetting at the same time. Once again, since I'm not saving this version of the world, I can kind of show you up here. There's just a minecart spinning around in the party hat, buzzing around. You got the little DJs over here. I guess this is one of the things that the old party house had over the new ones, because these guys, for all intents and purposes, are dead. They are no longer in the party house. They are replaced by parrots. The far more competent DJs, if you ask me, and are no longer here in general. So, yeah, take that, I guess. And that is the old party house. Let's see everything that I did to improve it. All right, pretty cool, right? Not really, actually. The old party house was extremely lame. Plus, it did not have this awesome little parrot above it. I will give you a quick little 360 of this guy to show you how he's built. Obviously, he has some lanterns on him, so he glows up in the night. And then it's basically just sculpted off of what a real parrot looked like. And the actual outside of the party house itself is exactly the same. I did not change the exterior building at all. I did just add these fence posts on top of what was already there to give the parrot a place to stand, essentially. Also, we'll get to that next. There's also something I'm going to show you now. So this tree that was always here now has a second function. It's a maintenance hatch. And you're like, why? Oh, there's a parrot down here. Why are you here, buddy? Are you mine? No, you're just some random parrot down here. The more you know. And this is basically just the redstone behind this little place. And there's another parrot down here, weirdly enough. And since redstone lags the hell out of my world, I'm going to set this going again. Basically, if you didn't see in the old version, there is a minecart going up both above and below the floor of this building, basically sending the lights back on. And since with these basically renditions of the old buildings I did, I still want it to resemble the original. So I'm just going to set these going, and I'm going to push them, and then you'll basically get the feel of what the dance floor is supposed to look like. Here's some failed redstone. Don't look at that. It is kind of embarrassing. And I cannot push this. There we go. There also should be some under here. And the reason I don't have this going is because, as you already noticed, my game is lagging tremendously. So yeah, after I get this, I will have to cut and get rid of these minecarts. But now, a little bit of a glow up. We're going to walk into the entrance of my new and improved party hall. Whoa! Whoa! Look at this place. Is this not just the most improved thing you have ever seen? I mean, look at it. Remember, picture what it used to look like. And look at it now, baby. It's filled with life. I obviously changed the walls to be a more party texture than just the exterior walls. So it's actually one layer in of a diamond and gold wall. We got a nice wood plank floor leading up to the dance floor. You can see we got the lights going. Obviously, the minecarts are pushing around so that it gives the light effect. I did unfortunately have to remove that giant 3x3 minecart from the ceiling, but I did keep the one in the center to kind of keep the spirit of it there. And then obviously, as you'll notice, I got my parrots in here, one of each type, as well as the two from my room, both Freebird and Blueberry, are now the DJs, because if you did not know, which would be surprising if you didn't, if you get a music disc, perfect, I will get the green one, sure, and you play it, all the guys start dancing! Okay, maybe not all of them, but all these guys should. You put one in here, and then boom, it's a dance party with the creepiest music I think I've ever heard. Wow. How melodic. Yeah, you got these lights in the ceiling that are supposed to resemble party lights. I just noticed that it stops you on the floor. Because if you didn't know, these carpets are actually to cover, yeah, the minecart. Because I did make it a little too big for the building. And I really don't want to have to talk over this music. So I'm gonna please stop this terrible, terrible music. Please never play that at a dance party. And it's cyan, right? Of course it's cyan. Oh boy. There we go. Cyan carpet. Boom. To match the warped wood aesthetic. But basically, it's just a party. Party all day, party all night. You got some music discs in here you can play. I will put the green one back in here just because I'm too lazy to get rid of everything. And then, obviously, you got like the bells and stuff. You got giant disco balls, what it's supposed to be. And you got the kind of prismarine ceiling. And then you got the DJs. So yeah, overall, I would say this is a vast improvement. I don't know about you, but yeah, for me it definitely is. Anyways, for me, for the next one, we do not have to cut away at all because this is something brand new entirely. So this is something brand new to this world, right? This was not here before. And I was like, I wanted to build something here because if you did not know, before it was just a 4x4 beacon, but it was this whole area. And it was such a wasted piece of estate, kind of like how this is. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get rid of this in the future, so I hope you're not attached to this. But this was just a free piece of estate, basically, that was unused. So what I did was I planted a jungle tree, and I made it big. I built a giant bulb on top. And it's just a pretty building to see a giant tree with kind of like fairy lights inside of there. If you did not know, it's basically just glowstone. But I also wanted to make this kind of like a fancy restaurant slash a tree house. So I got this cool little pattern with the compasses pointing towards the waist. I'm in the center. You walk inside, and I think it's the same on the other side. Oh, it's not actually. With the whole nice nether brick arch thing going on here. You walk up. You climb up the ladder, up the magic treehouse, not pun not intended, and you go to the first floor, and you realize it's just a nice old cafe. They make your food right here, cook it up, there's the food supplies, there's actually nothing in there, don't tell anybody. And then you sit with whoever you want to eat dinner with, you sit here, you realize you got some nice views of just pure, there we go, of just pure leaves. So I put some flowers here as decoration, and then here's your little table, your little chairs. And this obviously goes up another story. However, this time, it is just a little greenhouse room. This was kind of like basically extra space. So I put some pumpkins with sticks on them and then every type of tree in a flower pot. Looped around a couple times. So it's kind of like the downstairs is where you eat. And this is kind of like where you just look around like, whoa, look at that mangrove sapling kind of thing with whoever you're eating dinner with. You go up another story. And you come up to the little leaf part, very reminiscent of the treetop memories. Basically, if you wanted to, there's a little bench here that you can actually scoot up, and you just get a very nice view of the night sky. So yeah, Definitely improved over just a beacon. And this was one of, I think, like 3 new things that's been added to my world that's not just an improvement. So, yeah, savor this if you just like seeing new stuff in my world. Because I'm pretty sure next on the list is something changed once again. I'm actually going to go here next. This wasn't the intention, but it's kind of where I ended up. Y'all remember my greenhouse, right? It's just this bush-like building, and I just killed the elite. Oh my god. Oops. But yeah, it's the florist. You go inside, you can buy any type of flower you want. Basically, I decided to make this whole area kind of desert-themed, because if you don't remember my archery range, which you're going to see next, that was kind of like this little splotch of desert mixed into an otherwise completely green world. I'm just going to get rid of this, actually. And, I was very recently improving my archery stand to a point where I haven't even finished it yet. Because basically the plan for this is, instead of shooting stationary enemies made out of clay, you're basically just going to be shooting actual zombies coming towards you. So you're going to be playing on peaceful, they're going to be coming at you, you got to shoot them, bang bang, kill them before they kill you, basically. And I don't think I really need to show you the old version of this, but you know what, I will anyway. So here is past me with my old archery range. Alright, here's your point of comparison as for what the archery range used to look like. It's pretty simple. Basically, you just walk in this little brick building right here, and you pow, pow, get all the item frames off. And however many item frames you shoot, you get points depending on that. Once again, as I've mentioned 100 times, I turned this whole area around here, and the wheat that I destroyed, into what is a desert. So like this whole area by the police station, and the beacon is all desert. I got rid of the path and the beacon. And this is basically just bigger. There's going to be signs, and basically it's just kind of an enclosed area now where you just got to shoot mobs that are coming at you. I don't hate this, but at the same time I do. If anything, if I just had to change one thing about this, it would be that I would move it away from the florist, because I kind of hate how there's no room in between the florist and the archery range, which is obviously one of the big changes I made. But yeah, not a whole lot to say about this one, because it's a pretty simple build and a pretty simple improvement overall. So I guess take it away. Past me. Pretty lame, right? So, as I'm sure you saw in that video, not this whole area was desert as it is now. I wanted, like I said, I wanted to make this area deserty, to stand out from the rest of the world. So that improves everything that was already around here. One of the cat graves is there, and then the florist also doesn't really fit in now that it's a desert biome. But you know what? Shh, I'm not moving it. So yeah, not finished with this yet, as you can see. Still got a lot of work to do. I obviously decided to wall it off because, as most archery ranges should be, they should be walled off. But I also want to incorporate this into the design, because this was always here. The archery range come prepared. I think this is where I want you to hold out. This is where you're going to be shooting all those zombies and skeletons coming at you. And then if they make it in, then you just die, and then you lose. It's as simple as that. This little cobbled deep slate little thing over there is going to be the rules, like you saw with Capture the Wool. And then eventually this police station right here, which I guess I'll show you why not, hasn't changed at all. But I'm thinking about moving this, actually, or doing something there related to the police station. Because that is, once again, just a free piece of real estate that was just had, you know, a beacon in it. So I figured, why not change it? And you could see how this is an area I was just building in, because 2 of my dogs are here. Here's Matthew and Sprinkles. Some of the newer animals in the world. And I'm flying up because I don't know if I want to show you what's behind me right now, because it's a big blow up, and I think I'm going to do it last. So without spoilers, let's go this way, and I'm going to show you the finished helicopter building, because in the December tour of the world, this was here, but it was not finished. So you know what? I'm going to show you the original version, just so you can get a scope of how much better this already is. Because in case you weren't aware, this was my least favorite building in my entire world. And without further ado, let's see that inspiration coming through right there. Alright, welcome back to my least favorite building I have ever created / will ever make inside of my creative world. I am so glad this abomination is gone forever and will never come back, because this is the most ugly, uninspired, and boring thing I have ever built in my world in comparison to the glow up it has in the new version, where it actually looks badass and awesome, which you are going to see very shortly. The only props I will give this is the helicopter. The helicopter is the only cool thing about this. Don't know why there's a bed in there. Don't ask me. It is the only cool part of this building, and it's the only thing I ever reused when I remade it, because obviously this is supposed to be like a helicopter boarding station, which first of all doesn't even make any sense, and second of all, I never gave enough dams to finish it. So this was one of the most needed revamps out of any building inside of my whole world, and it looks substantially better, especially because the stupid ass fence is just gone now, and it clears up a lot of room. Yeah, I hate this, in case you couldn't tell. So, anyways, back to past me to tell you about what I did in the future. Pretty crazy, right? Anyways, this is much better. Basically, the original point of the building was to be a ditto to the helicopter place, which I am going to have to show you in a second because I did improve that. But I decided I did not like it because of how uninspired it was. I ripped off myself, basically, and I never finished it, and I always hated it. So I was like, screw it. I'm getting rid of it entirely, and I'm changing it. So that's what I did. So this right here is the main part of the building that we'll get to in a second. This is kind of like the radio station where they send out the radio transmissions for the helicopters. Plus, they also respond in like the police car down here if they needed to. It's basically just a fire station, is the simple thing I'm trying to say. And you got all the glow-stone lights around it. It's just this big, old brick building with a bunch of windows. And you go inside, and there's this little garage cover area. You got a little adorable little police car right here with its little wheels with buttons. Boop. You walk in here, this is obviously the main entrance. You walk in here, there's a fireman's pole going all the way up to the top. There's slime blocks here so you don't actually die on your way down. Some nice paintings and stuff, and this was kind of just an area I didn't really know what to do with. So I put some bookshelves and flowers and all that stuff. Kind of like the generic, nice looking things you can add to a building. I think that's supposed to be a TV right there. You walk in here, this is basically the garage. You can see I got a fire truck matching the police car outside. It's got the sirens and everything, and it's a little flint steel on top because obviously, you know, fire truck. Then there's just some nice shelves out here, like stuff you'd expect to see in a fireman's garage. Go out here, this leads out back to the area I showed you earlier. You can see it's just on the back of the building. We walk inside and we go upstairs because, yes, this is a 3-story building with the little stairs right here. And this is floor 1. This is basically the cadet training room, you could say. You sit here, and that's basically supposed to be all like the cases or the missing people, as well as just supposed to be like a giant TV showing all the crimes and all the stats of the fire department at the moment. This is where the guy would stand. I wonder what the book says. Why? And then 47 pages, which I'm not flipping through. He'd lecture you up here. People would be sitting down, bored as hell, learning about fire. Because why not? And there's the fireman's pole. Obviously, you could just jump down from here. Whee! But also, if you were at the top floor, which, as I mentioned earlier, this is also my helicopter station. So this is the area where the people are actually telling the helicopter people where to go. So you see we got this map of the world. It is not updated, as you can see, by Capture the Wolf still being bland. And then that is basically just the giant computer screen that shows somebody on fire. See what I did there? That's basically just the dash cam of the helicopters that's going around. And then over here we got a nice little meeting table for all of the meetings that the big bosses of the fire department have to take. And then some nice bookshelves over here with some candles. Don't play with fire, ironically enough. There's a bell, obviously the bell, and the fire station. They're like, there's a fire, everybody jump down the pole, burn, 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 burn. And then everybody gets suited up in the garage. And I don't know. I think this was just a cool thing to build instead of the just boring-ass helicopter station that was already here. And then obviously around back, you got these nice little nether brick pathways that connect to... Jesus Christ, that horse scared me. But yeah, these nether brick paths connect to the stone brick paths, as well as this building back here. So this is obviously where the helicopter is actually stationary. Yes, I know it is very close to Treetop Memories. There wasn't really a whole lot I could do about that. Just pretend, I don't know, maybe it gets a little trimming every time the helicopter has to take off. But this is basically just made out of deep slate, and I think this is reinforced deep slate. Don't quote me on that. And it's basically supposed to be like the little hangout room. As well as the cool thing is there's a little back entrance back here. Whoa. That connects to this path. So if you really just wanted to had a long day, you don't want to go to the actual fire station, you just go back through here. And then you're like, whoa, this is basically just a hangout room. Because if you've ever been to an actual fire station before, they always have these little secret rooms where the people are just hanging out whenever they're not on duty, but they're still to be at work. So it's like, this is where they would go. This is where they'd play all their video games. This is where they'd hang out on the couch and talk. This is where they'd read, because I'm sure some people actually do that. And then the carpet's obviously modeled after a fire siren. I got the similar pattern to the actual station in terms of the red and blue windows on it. Up here, we have the actual helicopter itself, which if you walked up here, when inside, you would notice it is pretty much... Oh, well, I failed that. It's pretty much the same exterior as the old one with the little lectern and seat to fly, but there is a little part in back with some fire helmets and some, I guess that would be fire staffs. I don't really know what that's there for. It's more of a... We don't really have a hose in Minecraft, so the sword kind of worked best. This is where they'd sit, and then when they get on the fire, they'd jump out and, you know, blow out the fire or whatever on the fire trucks. So yeah, that is that. You can see I got some foliage growing around here, and I wanted it to take up the same amount of space as before. I didn't want to have this and then like a little tiny thing behind it, unrelated. So that's why this whole building is here, instead of just being the fire report station. But this is probably one of my favorite buildings in my world, which is such an improvement from being my least favorites to being one of my favorites. It is truly, truly impressive. Anyway, I'm looking at my thing. This is something I put in question marks because I don't know if I showed it or not. This little bridge here goes over the lake that was already here, and it had sea turtles and fish and algae in it. The lake itself is pretty much unchanged, but this bridge just connects Rainbow Town to the path, which is, you know, pretty cool. I think I might have showed this already, but I guess there you go. There's another improvement I made to my world. I put a little Zen bridge over the pool behind Rainbow Town. Actually, looking back, I'm almost certain that I already showed you that, but it's fine. And this is Big Blue Airlines. And before, it looked very different. So I'm going to give you a real quick tour of that with future me. So take it away. All right, this is probably the most subtly changed thing in my world, because if you look at this, obviously the only thing that you notice at first is that the fences is gone. The brick fence that used to line this whole building is gone. It's kind of ugly, and it didn't really make sense for the runway, because A, you're just going to run into the fence before you even take off. So I figured, you know, it was kind of important to get rid of it. The airplane itself is pretty much unchanged, as I'm going to say in the future, /past, I don't freaking know. And obviously, I rebranded it in the new version to Big Blue Airport. But in this version, I had the audacity to just put airport. You walk inside, and you're like, whoa, now boarding 2. I don't even know what that means. You see, just got some basic-ass fences down here. Benches, not fences. You got this weird design with the walls. Like, what I did was I just made this a solid wall, which looks a lot better. Then this area looks fine, I guess. It's the boarding pass. I guess you just, like... If this magenta carpet was my boarding pass, I'd be like, here's my boarding pass. Can I go on the plane now? They're like, yeah, sure. But if any of you have ever been to the airport and through TSA, you know that is not how that works. So in the new version, as you're about to see, is A, improved, and B, kind of solves the problems I have with this. So take it away. So yeah, pretty empty, right? There was obviously stuff in there, like there was now boarding 1, but when you think of what an actual airport looks like and what this looks like, you realize it doesn't really look a whole lot similar. But before we even get into any of that interior stuff, the exterior of the building is kind of different. If you noticed before, there was no corners on it. So it was a lot more, I guess, like free-floating. But what I decided to do was I decided to round off all the corners, and I already think it looks a little bit better. I'm not going to lie, I do think I like the old design more. But I do think that, in the long run, this one will grow on me much more than the old one did, and I think this one is just a better design overall. Don't know why I'm choking up here. Also, I added this little cobblestone path back here, because before, the only way to get around to this area, rest in peace Willow, by the way, but you have to go all the way around there and through here, or you'd have to go all the way to the other side of the airplane, back again and up. So I decided this little cobblestone pathway was kind of necessary between parkour and Big Blue. But I think I've put this on long enough. Let's get to the Big Blue Airlines. You can see I've got an official sign, an official logo, and some iron doors. You open it up. And whoa, it looks like an actual airport. Obviously now it's 2 stories instead of just being 1. And obviously the walls are completely filled in. That's 2 blocks deep, as you can see. I obviously added windows, which is kind of a big thing in airports, as well as the line you'd go into to get your tickets. It is now boarding flight 3C, apparently. There's a little restaurant over here because, you know, restaurants are a thing in airports, and they are way overpriced. So this is where the overpriced food would be. And then you go upstairs on this little nice staircase here, and this is basically the bag scan, or the baggage check, yep, with the little librarian villager. So whatever you had to throw in there, I will throw my blue ice in there. We would throw it in here. It would then go through the water. This machine is an observer. It basically just scans it with quotation marks. And then once it's all good, you take it. If this guy's like, no, stop, we have to scan you down like a real airport, then you obviously have to stop. But other than that, it's pretty good. The roof, I believe, is the same. And the airplane is almost the same. As you notice, I took down the fences around here. Because despite the fact there's a giant-ass tree blocking the runway, it really didn't make sense to have a fence around the whole exterior. So instead, I put these little lights around it, and I just removed the fence entirely. And I believe nothing changed about the airplane, but I will show it to you anyway. Here's the interior of my airplane. You got the little captain's quarter up in here where they fly, similar to what I did with the helicopter. Even though this was obviously built way before that helicopter. Back here is the baggage check. You can see we got minecart chests and just real chests. And I don't know, I think this is something that I really like. In my top 10, you probably won't see it because I don't think the airplane is enough to carry it. But I do really like the way this looks, especially now that I've basically improved it in every way. Alright, what's next? Let me look at my list. Okay, I got a little small thing for you. This is something completely brand new, and I'm going to turn off the rain because I don't know what it is with Minecraft and raining every 4 seconds. Rest in peace, Alexa. She didn't actually turn on behind me. I was ready for the thing behind me to turn on that has the same name, but it didn't, so go me, I guess. Back here, behind the interdimensional soup, ironically enough, is, bum-ba-da-bum, as you could probably already see it, a burger shop. I know, crazy. They also don't have hamburgers in Minecraft, so I kind of had to improvise here. And you're going to notice the exterior is a giant hamburger. It's pretty awesome. And the reason that this part is here, the whole Burger Village, I'm pretty sure I put on a sign somewhere. Just kidding, I didn't apparently. But this is Burger Village, I'm naming it now. It's because of the size of the space. This was a space that was already planned out because obviously that was there and that was there and the path already went around. So I kind of had a very particular space to fill, and I figured this would be a perfect way to do it. You can see we got little burn marks on the hamburger. Got some lettuce is what the moss is supposed to be, as well as some ketchup, tomato in there, some cheese made out of pure gold, some soul sand burgers, and then some wooden plank buns. And I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to show you Burger Village first before I even get into the giant burger, which for some reason doesn't have doors on it. Don't know what I was doing with that. But you go down here, you got some nice little seating arrangements, both on the exterior of the little greenhouse, on the exterior of the burger, and of course in Burger Village itself. You come in here and you realize this is where they hand grow. Oh, don't look at that. That might get peed on my ass. This is where they hand grow all the wheat. You got the little water flowing, and basically this is homemade buns. Because everything in this burger shop is handmade. Which also means that this bar next door, yeah, everything is handmade, including the actual patties. So these cows are grown and nurtured until they're very old, in which case they are killed for meat, which is turned into hamburgers. I'm choosing my words here very carefully. Obviously, in Minecraft, nothing changes because I don't actually make any burgers, so these guys are just here forever. But if this was a real building, the meat would be very fresh. And you'd probably also need a butcher for this. But now if we go into the burger shop itself, you got these cool little burger columns. Initially, I built these out of solid concrete and then put item frames on it. But it just looked like too much, so now I changed it to stained glass in the same color as the burger. Got a little burger carpet, as well as here's your little cooking area. You got the whole bun making area, basically cutting boards, and you got your ovens. This is the giant grill that you actually cook the burgers on, and then this is where you heat up the bread. There's your knife to cut the bread with, and then there's all the ingredients you need for the buns, because obviously the meat, as I've already said, is very fresh. You look up and you're like, whoa, I kind of went for a more natural aesthetic, because I figured that this is basically the creative world's version of a Burger King. I wanted it to look cool. I didn't want it to just be a giant burger. I wanted to add like a little foliage on the top, some lights, some lanterns dangling down, and I think that it kind of looks really good, actually. Then there's obviously just some tables and some paintings around the place. Weirdly enough, I think this is one of the only buildings in my world with no windows, but I think you can understand why, because it would kind of clash with the style of the original building. And with that, I'm going to move on to probably the biggest improvement to any single thing I've ever done inside of my world. And I'm purposely not turning around because it is right behind me. And yes, we'll finish with that. I'll get to that, don't worry. I know I just said that the helicopter place went from one of my least favorites to one of my favorites. But this wasn't my least favorite, but it definitely is one of my favorites. This is Zombieland. And Zombieland, I just finished building very recently, is a roller coaster based on the pre-existing giant zombie gift shop. And basically, one day, I decided, A, I hated the building that was here. Basically, it was a real-life model of my room that was, A, ugly, and B, outdated. So I blew it up with some TNT, and I was like, well, now I just got a free space here. And then it came to me. I had the most brilliant idea ever. I changed this mediocre, zombie gift shop into a roller coaster. And wow, am I proud of this. And I think that truly the only way to experience Zombieland is by riding it. I'm going to ride it once normally, try and commentate as I go through. And then after I finish, I will also tell you all the stuff that you missed. And also, as a little fun thing we can do right now, for the last time, I'm going to hand you over to Future Me in my past world to show you the old version of the zombie gift shop, so you can see the improvements I made here. In case you forgot, is what the original zombie gift shop is what it's known as at this point in time looked like. It's a lot calmer. There's not as many giant netherrack stairs coming up and no haunted houses to go inside of. And obviously there's just no entrance at all. This used to be here. This is my real life room, which, as I've already mentioned, is both out of date and just kind of pointless. I don't really like this at all. So I blew it up with some TNT, and in place I built a haunted house for a roller coaster to go through. Pretty awesome if you ask me. Aisle room, you got some nice little dispensers here that gives you effects. It's also just a boring exterior. Like, I get it, it's alright. These are gone. This basically had a zombie in it at some point. That was the model for this. This is just a nice little campfire, but I could build these literally anywhere in the world, so I figured I'm just going to get rid of it and build over it. And then, obviously, there's also a path. This path is no longer here, because this is all part of the ride. But if you do not know what this used to be a zombie gift shop. You fly up to the top, or climb the ladders you're supposed to. You go in the zombie hatch, you go up here, and you can buy all sorts of necessities from the zombie gift shop. You can see little carts here, which I guess is kind of a piece of unpurposeful kind of foreshadowing for the future, because obviously this is turned into a giant roller coaster in the future. But yeah, it's almost unrecognizable aside from the fact that this is unchanged, Zombie's unchanged, the RIP's unchanged, Lily's grave is still there. It's just like I kind of improved it a little bit. And if you're wondering why I didn't keep the rows around, you could say it's because it's ugly or because I didn't want it anymore. I went a little heavy with TNT on this, and I might have blown up the top of this. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of it and build over it. And then, if Future Me would like to take it away, because I believe that is all I had to show you. So, say bye to Future Me and hello to Past Me, who will also say goodbye and hello to Future Me. kind of weird, but you know what? Sure. Anyways, back to Zombieland, and let's finish the June 2023 update, shall we? Yeah, it doesn't even look similar, does it? It's just that much better. Alright, so we got the little entrance down here. Zombieland, beware. Enter if you dare. You got zombie heads, and the whole place is made out of mud, by the way. Which, I didn't know this, that mud actually sinks you down lower than a natural block. Because if you see I step on the coarse dirt, I kind of raise up. Step on the thing, I step down. I did not know this, but I think it is kind of cool. So I guess I put enough delay on it. We go through the entrance. You can see there's Lily's grave right there. Dispenses a flower for her. You go up the actual zombie itself, which does take you very fast because hills are very hard to articulate. I'll kind of show you in there afterwards. You fall down this cobweb because it was the only way to catch you without you flying into the neighbor's property. Because yes, that is a house next door. I'm so sorry for whoever lives there. But you're going to drop down slowly, but just slowly enough to give you enough time to look over the town from the zombie's armpit. Then you have to kind of move forward a little bit. You go through the fields a little bit, through this, which used to be a library, into the spider's den. You can see a giant spider on the wall there. Into the haunted house. You got a nice little fireplace, a hallway, and then bones come up from the floor, and redstone dust is blood. Then you come back through the tombstone, up a little ramp, into the exterior of the bookshelf, because I decided to keep the theming the same of it being a bookshelf. Nice little view up there. And minecarts kind of take you way too fast for this to even work. You run through here, come back. Around the whole zombie's arm coming up from the grave, you go into the attic of the abandoned house with a giant rat right there. Down here, up and around, into a little dungeon area below the house with a bat, which is kind of thematically appropriate, actually. Come up here, a little more, and you go straight through the zombie's head, over his brain, where arrows fire at you, and you're supposed to be scared. You're like, ah! I think that would actually kill you in survival mode, which is a good thing we're doing it on creative, I guess. And then you just take a slow ride back into the entrance. Like so. And you go into the block, apparently. Did not know that. And just so you can get kind of a scope of everything that I went through, because I did go through kind of fast on the roller coaster. You walk through here. You go along this cobblestone path. When you approach Lily's grave, this detector rail right here throws out either a fish or a flower. So if I put a mark out here, you see I got a lily of the valley. Kind of as a respect to Lily the cat, who unfortunately died because of a glitch. Then you go up here, and this is kind of the part that went really quick. This is the interior of the zombie's body. You look up, and you see it's basically just a roller coaster at the end of the day. Like, there's cobwebs and stuff, and it's actually made out of cracked stone brick, but at the end of the day, you're not really missing a whole lot by skipping out on this. What's cool is you can actually see the zombie's brain from in here because of the glass ceiling. Pretty cool, pretty cool. You come up here, and you're supposed to get a nice view of the armpit. If I wasn't so stupid, you could see, get a nice view of everything over the town, and trust me, we will talk about views in just a moment. Come down here. You go along this brick wall that's supposed to like keep the zombie out, as well as respect the neighbor's property a little bit. You go in here into the giant tombstone, and if you guys don't remember, this was something that already was here with the zombie, but it didn't really have a purpose. It was just a library inside, which was such a waste of potential that I kind of remedied that by adding a giant spider's nest / library in here. So because of the cobwebs, you can't see it very well, but this right here is supposed to be a spider. You can see its eyes and the black body, as well as you look up and you can see there's a chandelier and a whole bunch of cobwebs in the library, because I didn't want to keep the library aesthetic that I already had going on. And also, lava floor, and one of the cool things I discovered is tinted glass makes it so lava does not illuminate the room. So you look down and you're like, oh my god, I'm above flowing lava. But it also doesn't illuminate the room at all, which I think is perfect for this kind of spooky atmosphere I was going for. Come through here, and then this is kind of my crown jewel of Zombieland. This is my haunted house. I'll show you the exterior. You see you got some boarded windows. You got an attic with a broken window. There's a little grave down here with a fun little Easter egg. I'll show you in just a second. Basically right in here, and if you're wondering how I did the open door with the rail going through it, it's actually placed on that block. So if you wanted to do it yourself, just make it look like this, and it makes it look like the doors are open for you. Come inside. This is the little living room area. You see you got a nice fireplace. There was a fire in there until it burned down the whole house. And then I was like, okay, we're just going to put some glowstone with some gray glass above it, which is what I did. You got some nice tables, some nice spooky paintings. You go into the hallway, you can see you got some more boarded up windows on both sides, except for that side because I guess I forgot. You go over this detector rail here, and basically what this does is it dispenses bones and redstone from underneath the ground. And I will give you a cheeky little peek at all the redstone underneath here. Basically, over the detector rail just brings you, it just brings the signal over to here, which is brought to bones, redstone, and more bones that are dispensed to the floor. As I'll show you real quick, and I gotta replace this because otherwise I will forget. There we go, quartz brick. Basically, you put it on there, and you're your dispenser, like that, and you see that bones and redstone cover the track. Unfortunately, kind of a flaw in design. You are gonna have to pick these up as you go through. But something I really like about this ride in particular is as you're going through, you're gonna see that hey, this is just kind of a nice little sofa room with some bookcases, but also through here you see you got the little hallway, and this is actually a future part of the ride where you come down from the attic, and it just looks like a normal part of the house. Like, you don't even go there, and you don't even think you're gonna go there because it just looks so normal. And if the rail wasn't there, you would just assume it was like an extra design. But no, I actually really like how this all came together. You go out here, and once again the doors are the same. But if you look to your right, you see R.I.P. Meemaw, kind of light in the moon. I wanted to do a little grave here, but I put Meemaw because it's kind of like a funny name you call your grandma or whatever. Kind of hard to see, but if you look hard enough, you will see it. Some more boarded up windows. Then obviously you go around here, up there. You saw this bit briefly. This is the upstairs of the library. You basically just go over the spider's den down here. It's just basically the upstairs. You got a little ramp here. And the roof was actually not big enough for this ramp to go over the doorway, which is kind of essential. So I kind of had to extend it up, so you got this nice little glass window here that you cannot see at all on your way through. This then brings you down here. You got this nice little chandelier. This brings you through the RIP, right through the R, actually. And then you land down here, is what you're supposed to do, but most of the time you land over here. You go around the zombie's arm arising from the dead. And then from there, you just go straight into the attic. You can see you got some broken windows up here. In here, you see you got a giant rat, because rats are kind of the most associated thing with attics and dusty and old kind of thing. You got the upstairs of the fireplace, as you can see. Over here, you just got some like boxes and cauldrons and stuff from just what you'd expect to be in an attic, essentially. Some cobwebs and some composters, as well as another broken window up here, as well as some old carpeting. This is a little Easter egg. I wanted to put some green in here without anybody really noticing it or questioning it, so I put a little fern in there. You come down the stairs. Like I said, this was the hallway part you came through earlier with some tinted glass. Come to the basement and you realize, ooh, there's a spooky dungeon in here. Ooh. And some perfectly timed lightning. Would you look at that? And I'm getting really hot in real life. I don't know why. But you come through here and you realize it's a spooky dungeon. And I noticed an error. This lever is not supposed to be here, because essentially what's supposed to happen is as you drive over this little thing of redstone right here, it sends a trail to that door to open it up. Like that. And it's supposed to be delayed enough so that when you're going by like this, it actually opens as you're going by, which is a cool little effect that I thought would look good. Other than that, it's basically what you would expect from a dungeon area in a spooky roller coaster. And then kind of the finale part coming up here. Go through a little tunnel, go up the nether brick stairs into the zombie's brain, and you will see that, yes, it is actually the zombie's brain. There's also the upstairs of the part we went through earlier. This is what sends the signal to the dispensers. Since you go by so fast, you don't even notice the dispensers or the little redstone signal going here. But you see you get some rotten flesh and some arrows fired at you. Basically just for some mood and atmosphere, because if you just went over the brain, nothing would have happened. You drop down here, whee, which would totally kill you in survival mode, by the way. And then you just go back to the start. And if that is not one of the coolest roller coasters I've done in this world, then I don't know what is. And with that, that is going to bring us to our final edition for this year's June 2023 tour. The monorail. And you probably noticed this all throughout the last 40 minutes. 50 if you count the part I still have to film. This might actually go over an hour. Well, what do you know? And this just goes across the entire world. And the reason for it is I want it to be kind of like a barrier of the original part of town. Like, obviously, if you look to the right, you're not going to see anything but open fields. But when you look left, you see everything in the town. And there are two entrances to this building on completely even other sides of the world. Trust me, it was a whole hassle. And for this, I used a lot of pistons, which is a cool design, but the annoying part is when you back up far enough from them, as you're going to notice, the wood part disappears. Look. So it looks like that, which A, looks kind of bad, and B, lags the world. So if I was doing it again, definitely wanted to build it out of pistons. You can see I built the whole thing out of pistons and spruce doors and stuff. It is exactly the same on the other side of the world, but I will show it to you at the end anyway. You got just some fancy cauldron floors and some ender floors, some saws back here because I had some extra fun little space. But when you actually climb up here yourself inside of scaffolding, which I'm going to do right now and clear my throat, because stupid allergies and stupid talking for 1 hour apparently makes your throat hurt or whatever. But you're going to come up here, and then you're going to reach the top of the monorail sometime. I'm just going to fly up because it's quicker, like so. You're going to reach this little entrance area with some tinted glass. Tinted glass is a weird thing because I never knew it was in the game until recently, and now I'm kind of obsessed with using it, in case you couldn't tell, all these recent builds. And the whole thing is built out of amethyst, diamond, and quartz, so it's supposed to look super nice and authentic. And I already have my minecart, but thanks for offering. And basically, this is a perfect place to end the video, because once you push this, you're off on your own, and you just get to admire the view. You gotta push forward a little bit, I guess. And there you go. I'm just gonna let you admire this while I kind of talk for a bit, because this world means so much to me, and if anybody at all gets enjoyment out of these videos, it would make my day, because this is my project. This is my child, essentially. This is what I do in my free time, when I'm not making videos, when I'm not doing homework, when I'm not doing any extracurriculars, any of that stuff, when I'm not worrying about my future. I sit down and I build. And this is the culmination of 3 years of work. And I couldn't be prouder. Once I improve all the buildings that I need to improve and build everything I need to build, I think this will be one of the best Minecraft worlds I have ever seen, because I'm sure you guys have seen much better. And I think the fact that I built everything here myself over the course of years, and all of these buildings have personal experiences to me, means so much. And I hope if I can share even a small bit of joy with you guys over my baby, my project, then I'll be ecstatic, honestly, because I'm just so happy. And I'm actually going to change, once I get to this side of the monorail and show you around, I'm going to change it to night, because the monorail looks so much better at night. Because everything is all lit up, everything is torches on the glowstone, and it is a sight. So we'll go through the first side at day. I do wish the render distance on Xbox was better. I really do. I also wish I had access to stuff like ray tracing, but unfortunately, for somebody who has done this on Xbox and doesn't know anything about PC or coding or any of that stuff, it really doesn't... I really have no idea how to even start that. So we're going to go to time. We're going to go to nighttime, which is already a very pretty aesthetic. And once we get ourselves going here, you'll just see the pure beauty that Minecraft and my world just has in general. Because look at just how much nicer everything looks at nighttime. Like, wow, this is such a pretty sight. And I'm so proud of it. I really want to do more videos on this, to share this with you guys. I want to share my vision with you guys. I want you guys to see what I see. I want you guys to enjoy what I enjoy. And if you don't, then that's fine. Not everybody's going to like the same things, but if any of you could just appreciate the work and the beauty of this, then that would mean the world to me. Sorry, I didn't mean to get so deep on you guys. It also sounded like I was begging, oh, please like my world. I don't give a shit. If you say your world is awful and I hate it, I'll be like, okay, first of all, rude, but second of all, you know what? Fair enough. I get it. I, too, am not a fan of everything. So, you know what? I understand. But I just love what I've made. You know? You're always proud of what you did. Usually after you complete it, like as I'm building stuff, I don't think I'm as proud of it as when I do these types of videos where I just show you everything. And while I haven't showed you everything, I've showed you an hour worth of 10 new things. And I think the fact that I can talk this long about 10 things is really impressive. And we're almost to the end now. And I didn't show you the one on the other side, so I guess I'll have to fly over there real quick And yeah, it's just such a pretty view. Like, this is probably going to be a thumbnail because just how nice it looks. And all the lights are going on around the town because it's turning midnight. Whew. It's such a good aesthetic. I love nighttime in this game. And if I quickly fly to the complete opposite side of the world, I'm going to also show you kind of the outside of what the monorail looks like. You can see it goes over the entirety of the world. There are 4 corners on each side of the world. This one particularly is behind the Block Museum, and it just looks like this. The slabs were a pain in the butt to make, but at last it looks good when it's finished. The underneath is once again using pistons, redstone, and iron bars, and then there's a lot of glass, there's a lot of amethyst, and there's a lot of diamonds lining this whole thing all the way around. And while there is stuff like this little hill over here that does get left out, I think overall you get mostly everything in the world. And this is what it looks like from the other side. Obviously, this one's a little bit bigger because I had more room to work with, as well as there's just a bigger entrance. You can see you got cauldrons, and it's just the same sort of style. There's also just a little thing with 3 flowers in it for fun. But yeah, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. There's a frog over there. Looks like we've had a little breach. Oh no, they're breaching! They're breaching containment from my frog containment thing over here. They're getting out. No! Yeah, but on that note, I sincerely thank you. You guys get to look at my little slime blockhead skin here. And I'll try and get some stuff in the background there while I just do an outro. Yeah, I've kind of talked about what I needed to talk about on the monorail, but basically just thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting my channel, my videos, and especially my 3-year plus creative world at this point. I truly love each and every one of you, and remember to take care of yourselves because mental health is important. And when you're watching this, I will have pre-recorded a bunch of videos prepared for the summer, because right now, as of May 20th at 6 o'clock, is the start of my mad recording session for the summer, because I did have a job, and I'm not going to have time to film anything, because the job is every day, except for Saturdays, all summer, until first week of August. So for June and July, I'm going to have to stockpile a little bit. So I just hope you still enjoy the content, even though it's not fresh, I guess is what I'm saying. But thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.